Have you ever felt that the life you're living might just be an illusion? That what you see, hear, and feel might not exist in the way you imagine? What if every encounter, every challenge, every moment of pleasure or pain wasn't just happening to you, but through you, as if you were simultaneously a spectator and protagonist of something much bigger? Quantum physics reveals a disconcerting secret. There is no separation between the observer and the observed. They are one. Every thought, every emotion, every choice you make shapes reality in subtle, invisible, yet incredibly powerful ways. You are not just part of the universe, you are the universe itself observing itself. In this video, you'll discover how this truth can completely change the way you feel, perceive, and create your reality. It's not just theory. It's an experience that, when understood, can transform every decision, every moment, every breath of your life. Prepare to realize that everything you believed about the world and yourself can be reinvented. And in the end, you will no longer see reality the same way. You will see the power that has always been in your hands. Life is like a huge mirror. Everything you see reflected outside is, in some way, a reflection of what's happening inside you. But most people believe they're looking at a separate world, as if they were an audience on a stage. This is the first big mistake, believing there's a real division between you and what you see. Just as a mirror doesn't invent your face, but merely reflects the image you offer it, reality constantly reflects the energy you project. Your fears shape the challenges that arise. Your hopes create unexpected opportunities. Your judgments become barriers that seem external but originate in your own mind. Think of a time when someone deeply bothered you. Was the discomfort just that person? Or did they reveal something you didn't want to see in yourself? That's where the game begins. When we realize that there are no mere others, but rather reflections of our own inner selves. This mirror metaphor reveals an essential understanding. You're never just observing the world. You're observing yourself through it. The universe is like a theater where the characters play roles written, in part, by your consciousness. Understanding this, an inevitable question arises. If everything I see is also part of me, how can I change the reflection without changing what's inside? This is the key that unlocks the next level of the quantum game. The mirror of reality doesn't lie, but it also doesn't judge. It simply returns what you give it, like a silent law that never fails. If you want to see more beauty in your reflection, you must first plant more beauty within yourself. This is the hard part because it demands responsibility. But it's also the liberating part because it places in your hands the power to recreate everything you see. Science has already shown that reality isn't as solid as we once believed. The famous double-slit experiment revealed that subatomic particles can behave like waves or matter, depending on just one thing: the presence of an observer. When no one is watching, they scatter freely, creating interference patterns. But when someone measures their path, everything changes. It's as if the particles knew they were being observed, as if the simple act of looking could determine the shape reality would take. This isn't science fiction, it's quantum physics at its purest and most mysterious. Now imagine, if a microscopic particle reacts to the observer's gaze, wouldn't your life on a larger scale also react to how you observe it? Could it be that what you call destiny isn't, in part, a reflection of your own consciousness? What this experiment shows us is that the universe is not just a fixed stage, but a field of possibilities. And you, with the power of your attention and consciousness, are the one who decides which of these possibilities collapse into reality. This revelation changes everything, because from this point on, it no longer makes sense to see yourself as a victim of events. You begin to see that every choice, every thought, and every emotion are like quantum observations shaping the invisible fabric of your experience. The mystery of the double slit reminds us that there is no reality independent of the gaze. We are active co-creators, even if we do so unconsciously most of the time. Every time you decide to observe something with fear or confidence, you are already collapsing a version of the future. Therefore, the act of observing is not small. It is, in fact, the fundamental movement that writes the story of your life. Imagine life as a large chessboard. Each piece seems to have its own path, but in reality, the board only exists because you're on it. You're not just a player within the game, you're also the playing field. On this board, the observer and the observed are not on opposite sides. They are inseparable. Every time you pay attention to a thought, an emotion, or a belief, you move a piece in the invisible game of existence, and that piece creates repercussions that come back to you in often unexpected ways. How many times have you wanted something intensely, only to see opportunities arise as if the universe were conspiring in your favor? And how many times, overcome by fear, did everything seem to stall? These aren't coincidences. They're answers to the quantum game. This game is silent but relentless. It responds not to what you pretend to be, but to what you truly vibrate. It responds not to the words you speak, but to the energy you carry in every cell. And perhaps the most challenging part is accepting that there's no such thing as an innocent audience. You're never just watching. You're always participating, creating, shaping, even if unconsciously. The quantum game allows no passive spectators. Where you place your focus, reality begins to reorganize itself. If you harbor thoughts of scarcity, no matter how hard you work, life will always seem limited. But if you direct your awareness toward abundance, doors begin to open. Intention is like a silent command to the quantum field. It's not just superficial wishing, but aligning emotion, thought, and action in a single direction. It's like planting a seed and watering it with confidence, without digging in the soil every day to see if it has grown. Many people believe they can't change their lives because they're stuck in a cycle of unconscious observation. They repeat the same beliefs, relive the same fears, and observe only the same problems. And as a result, the game only returns more of the same. But when you change the way you observe, the reflection changes too. It's like rotating a camera lens. The landscape may be the same, but the perspective reveals something entirely new. It's at this point that you begin to understand that reality isn't fixed. It's plastic, malleable, shaped by how you choose to play the game of consciousness. Attention is like a spotlight on a dark stage. Wherever you direct the light, it takes shape, color, and life. Intention, on the other hand, is the invisible script that guides the actor's movements on that illuminated stage. When the two align, attention and intention create the masterpiece of your existence. And so, little by little, you discover that you hold in your hands the pen that rewrites the plot of your own story. The universe is not a neutral place, but a living mirror that responds to you. When you encounter a person who awakens love, it's not just them, it's your own capacity to love reflected back. When someone evokes anger or judgment, that reflection points to wounds that are still waiting to be seen. This realization can be uncomfortable. It's easier to blame the outside world than to accept that it's reflecting what's happening within. But it's precisely in this discomfort that transformation begins. Imagine that every difficult situation is like a cracked mirror. The more you try to blame the reflection, the more fragmented everything seems. But when you decide to look within, you begin to repair not the glass, but the source of the image. The universe then ceases to be a chaotic enemy and becomes a silent teacher. It shows you without words what you need to integrate, what you need to heal, and what you need to awaken. Once you realize this, the game stops being random. You discover that every detail of your life has a coded message, begging to be interpreted. When you begin to decipher these messages, you realize that nothing happens by chance. Every encounter, every challenge, every joy is like a letter sent directly from the universe to your heart. The reflection may be harsh, but it's never cruel. It only shows what you're ready to transform. And by accepting this silent language, you stop feeling lost and begin to dance in tune with life. Imagine reality as a radio station. There are infinite frequencies broadcasting simultaneously, but you only hear the one you're tuned into. Your life works the same way. The version of you you're living today is just one frequency among many possible ones. And the question is, which station are you on? If you constantly feel scarcity, fear, or doubt, this frequency is shaping your timeline. It's like being stuck in a repetitive song that echoes the same patterns. But there is an alternative. Change the tune. Consciously choose another version of yourself that has already embodied what you want to experience. This means that instead of waiting to become someone in the future, you start feeling now. You act, speak, and think as if you were already your expanded self. That's the secret. Don't wait for reality to change before you feel different, but rather feel different so that reality reorganizes itself around you. It's like putting on a new outfit before the special occasion. When you look in the mirror and see a different person, your mind and body begin to believe it. And this new identity attracts experiences that match it. But to maintain this change, you need to avoid the triggers that pull you back to your old frequency. This requires paying attention to your words, your choices, and even the environments you frequent. Each action can reinforce your new identity or invite you back to your old self. The key is to maintain consistency until this version becomes your new default. When you begin living as this new version of yourself, it's like planting a seed in fertile soil. At first, nothing may appear to be changing, but deep inside, the roots are already growing, silent and firm. Each choice that reinforces your new identity is like watering that seed. And sooner or later, life responds with signs, coincidences, and opportunities that confirm you're no longer on the same timeline. If thoughts are like mental observations, emotions are like vibrations that echo through the quantum field. They intensify the observer's power, providing enough energy to shape experiences. When you feel fear, the field responds by bringing you more situations that confirm that state. When you feel gratitude, it gives you reasons to be even more grateful. It's as if each emotion were radio frequency, and the universe can only return to you what's on the same station as you're tuning into. This doesn't mean you need to deny negative feelings. They play a role too. Fear, pain, and anger are indicators that something needs to be integrated. They show where you're still observing reality in a fragmented way. But when you learn to observe your emotions without getting lost in them, something magical happens. You stop being held hostage by unconscious vibration and start consciously choosing the frequency you want to sustain. At this point, you realize that true freedom is not in controlling the world outside, but in learning to observe and transform what happens inside you. And it's in this space of conscious observation that you begin to perceive previously invisible patterns. Every emotion, every automatic reaction ceases to be a puzzle and becomes a clue to the frequency you're emitting. The more you practice this internal attention, the faster you can realign your vibration. Reality ceases to be something that happens outside and begins to directly reflect the harmony or misalignment within you. Gradually, you become not just an observer, but a true co-creator of the life you desire to experience. Ultimately, what truly shapes your life is not the facts, but the beliefs you hold about them. Each belief is like a filter that selects which possibilities from the quantum field will manifest for you. If you believe you're incapable, life gives you proof. If you believe you're worthy of love, the universe finds ways to confirm that belief. This is wave function, collapse in action. Consciousness chooses a possibility and transforms it into reality. But here's the thing. Many of your beliefs weren't consciously chosen. They were inherited in childhood, absorbed from family, society, trauma, and past experiences. In other words, you're playing the quantum game with rules you never truly chose. The process of awakening is precisely recognizing these limiting beliefs and replacing them with new observations. It's like rewriting the source code that underpins your experience. When you do this, the world changes. But in reality, what's changed is the way you observe it. And the reflection has no choice but to follow this transformation. And it is precisely at this point that you realize the power of awakened consciousness. By questioning each belief, you discover that many limitations that seemed external were actually just internal projections. Each new belief you choose to hold alters the field of possibilities around you. With practice and attention, it becomes possible to create internal patterns that generate entirely different, previously unimaginable experiences. The universe responds to the clarity of your vision and conscious intention, transforming the invisible into the tangible. And so, you cease to be a victim of circumstances and become the architect of your own reality. A quantum leap isn't just a gradual shift, it's a radical shift in consciousness. It's as if you're walking down a familiar road and suddenly choose an invisible door that leads you to a completely new path. This leap begins when you clarify your target timeline. Ask yourself, how does the self who has already achieved what I desire live? How does it think? How does it act? How does it deal with challenges? The clarity of this vision is the map that guides the leap. Without clarity, you continue wandering the same paths of the past. The next step is to feel. You need to bring into the present the emotions that this future already holds. If you desire prosperity, feel gratitude and security now. If you seek love, cultivate within yourself a sense of connection and acceptance. It's not about waiting for the external scenario to happen, but about living as if it were already happening. Over time, this practice creates a new field of attraction. You stop reacting to old triggers that previously shaped your reality and begin to sustain a new vibration. This is the moment when the old version of you dissolves and the leap truly happens. And then, one day, almost without realizing it, you look back at your life and realize you're already living what seemed distant. Awakening comes with the awareness that you've always been the creator, and that by embracing this power, reality ceases to be a prison and becomes a blank canvas ready to be painted by your most conscious self. A quantum leap isn't just about arriving somewhere new, but about realizing that the old one no longer makes sense to you. It's like crossing a bridge that crumbles behind your feet. There's no going back. This is the true sign that you've shifted your timeline. Old patterns lose their power. Old pains no longer bind, and the new version of you becomes the only possible path. After moving through this understanding, something greater reveals itself. The observer and the observed are not merely connected. They are the same essence. You and the universe are not on opposite sides of a mirror. You are the mirror itself, inseparable, eternal, self-aware. This realization is what mystics called enlightenment, what Jung called individuation, and what modern physics begins to touch upon when studying consciousness. It's the moment you understand that there is nothing outside of you. The game was never against you. It was always you. In this state of unity, there is no longer victim or villain, right or wrong. There is only experience, growth, and the infinite dance of consciousness observing itself through different forms. And when you access this awareness, you discover that true power lies not in desperately changing the reflection, but in recognizing that you are already the mirror itself. Reality doesn't happen for you. It happens as you. This is the point where the quantum game stops being a struggle and becomes a celebration, the celebration of consciousness discovering itself in every detail of existence. Perhaps you've now sensed that life isn't a coincidence, but a perfect choreography between what you observe and what is observed. Every encounter, every challenge, and every moment of silence are reminders that you are participating in a sacred game one, where there is no separation between the player, the board, and the piece. The question remains, how do you choose to observe your life from now on? Will you continue looking outside yourself for blame, or will you use each reflection as a key to transformation? If this message resonated with you, share this video with someone who also needs to awaken to the mystery of quantum play. Like, subscribe to the channel, and continue this journey of awareness. Because deep down, the greatest discovery is not that you create your reality, but that you are reality itself, recognizing yourself in every detail.